Did you watch, I'm sure you did, part or all of the convention last night? Wow. That's part of what I'm going to talk about on today's podcast. Watching the convention, maybe you feel the same way, but watching the convention over the past 3 nights, and tonight will be the big night. This is where Kamala Harris makes not only her acceptance speech, but one hopes lays out her agenda for what she is going to do as President of the United States. I think a lot of Americans want to hear that. We all have had a sugar high, more or less, from the past, well, ever since Joe Biden announced he was going to hand the reins over to Kamala Harris. And the past 3 nights have just been a rush, absolute rush. As a matter of fact, when I was watching last night, I kept thinking of kind of a bit of a title from a movie a few years back, changed a bit, to America Gets Its Groove Back. And it feels that way, doesn't it? I mean, seriously, I realize shit is still happening all over the place. Terrible things. I know that. I get that. And I know you know that too. But there is that undercurrent that maybe, possibly, could be, if we work hard, it might. We might finally cleanse ourselves of this filthy Trump era of poison and hate and division and distrust and all of it. At least that's the hope. So, America gets its groove back. You think what happened last night at the DNC? Well, I think Tim Walz positively nailed his moment as the vice presidential candidate. I think he did a good job. I know I have heard from a few people that his overt displays of enthusiasm and happiness and joy in the way he bounces around might be getting on a few people's nerves. But you got to remember, this is the convention. And Tim Walz, prior to this moment in his life, not to mention his political career, has never been anything like this. So I think for the people who are getting a little bit, not put off, but a little bit over Tim Walz's enthusiasm, just stop and consider what has happened to the man in the past 2 months. Good God. So anyway, Tim Walz, I think, nailed his big moment last night. Oprah, just, she might as well have brought a whip with her and beat O.J.D. Vance's ass, man. I'm telling you, way to go. Way to go, Miss Winfrey. The crowd loved it, of course. Then we had Stevie Wonder's, apparently it was a surprise performance. And what a performance, you know, when he did an homage to Prince in honor of Tim Walz, really. Bill Clinton, I didn't realize he was 78 years old, but that's what he said last night. And for the first time ever that I'm aware of, Bill Clinton was struck speechless. There were a couple of long pauses where I think Clinton was just so overcome by Trump's weirdness that even Bill Clinton lost his place on the teleprompter. Well, I don't know how to use a teleprompter, but he lost his place. He couldn't speak. It was just so bizarre. And I really got off on Tim Walz's championship football team, that the guys who are still alive who came on stage and cheered him on. That was impressive. I played high school football. Yes, I did. I've said this before. I was a running, well, we didn't call them running backs back then. We had a quarterback, 2 halfbacks, and a fullback. And we primarily used T formation. And that was pretty much it until things got a little bit more sophisticated. But when Walz's football players came on that stage, I just had this flash. I wonder about all the guys that went to Scott High School in Toledo, Ohio, back in 1959, when I played football for that high school. I just wonder what ever happened to all of them. You know, just that brief moment. Oh, stop it, Malloy. The videos that were played on the big screen intermittently had Kamala Harris own some of the worst people that the orange bastard brought into his I got the best people, his administration. I thought that was good. And then that young woman, Amanda Gorman, who gave the speech at the inauguration of Joe Biden 4 years ago. That was her, right? Yeah, Amanda Gorman. And her new poem at the DNC last, just unbelievable. I mean, this young woman, it's going to be is a powerful force in poetry. I can't imagine the things she's going to write over the course of her poetic career. John Legend, and I made a mistake. It was John Legend who covered Prince's hit In Honor of Waltz. It wasn't Stevie Wonder. But John Legend last night was very impressive. The dancers with John Legend were just, man, talk about energy. That's what I'm talking about. America gets its groove back. Then Hakeem Jeffries, who brings the joy to this convention with his trademark flair. Hakeem Jeffries, he's going to be the next Speaker of the House, and I am just so impressed with some of these people, their talent, their ability, the grasp they have on the seriousness of this time in our history and what to do about it. I'm just so completely. I was thinking the other night, if America is ever going to enjoy redemption, it's going to have to come through our black brothers and sisters. Not something I ever thought I would say, and I realize it has religious overtones, which I don't like, but in paying close attention, as I have for the past 3 nights, and the way I'm going to tonight, and going back to the moment when Barack Obama got the Democratic Party nomination to be president and then won the election twice. And then we had that terrible interregnum where we had this filthy, filthy, rotten, racist pig, Donald Trump, who just totally disrupted the flow that Barack Obama had started. And we had to endure him and survive him. And I'm not sure we have yet. And then Joe Biden, and as Joe Biden said, I mean, he said it, he was a bridge president. He didn't have any intention of running for two elections, for 2 presidential cycles. He wasn't going to do that. But I think he got a little bit carried away. I think his Irishness, and I speak from experience with this, I think his Irishness, his pugnaciousness got the better of him, and he decided to continue. And I think the essential reason that Biden was going to continue was because he has so much contempt and disrespect for Trump, as most people who can think do have. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. The Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.